We welcome you into another season of Talking Blizz with Joey Bonadonna and welcoming in the 2024 season here in episode number one. We're bringing in the quarterback, number 7, Max Meylor. Max, welcome to the show. How was the offseason?
Off season was great. Thank you, Joey, for having me, man. I'm excited to be back. Off season was good. Took care of my body, got healthy. Was pouring some concrete, which hopefully that made me a little tougher. And then I got my substitute license, so I was doing a little bit of everything, staying busy, and also throwing and lifting weights too. So it's good to be back. Great to hear from you.
Awesome. Yeah, well, we'll dive in here quickly. Talking about this offseason and where things went from the end of 2023 here into this season. Um, Obviously, coming off last season, no playoffs, but still some excitement because there was this position that you were there in the last month of the season. Talk about what you learned from the end of the season last year and what that decision was like to come back for another season.
Yeah, so I had some good conversations with Coach Roberson and Coach Barrett, and we felt like we had more to finish. And I thought about it for about a month, and then I talked to him, and we got back. We signed, so it was a good conversations, and I love being in Wisconsin and playing for the Green Bay Blizz. So it's good to be back.
So obviously, yeah, we talked about this last year, but you are a Wisconsin guy. Grew up just a few minutes away from Madison, Mount Horeb. Played at Whitewater, and that connection with Coach Barron, and he was a Stag Bowl winning quarterback for the Warhawks. You went to the Stag Bowl yourself. What has that connection been like, having him as your offensive coordinator now going into year two?
Yeah, we come from the same tradition of UW Whitewater football. He knows how to win. He won three, I believe, three national championships. So I strive to do that. I couldn't do it, so it just puts in perspective how how good he is and how smart he is at what he does. So having Coach Barrett there, teaching me and coaching me every day to be a better quarterback, I feel like he's one of the best in the league, and I'm very thankful for that.
I want to go into a few notes from this offseason. Number one, came in about September, and obviously me being down here in Madison, it was a game day. Wisconsin opening the season with a win against Buffalo. I'm walking back from State Street, and who do I see sitting at outside Wando's here in Madison? But Max Meylor and a couple of his buddies. We talked a little bit that night,
Yeah.
and I remember you asked me. This was before you had already re-signed, and you said, "What do you think? Run it back?" And I said, "We got unfinished business." So here we go here into 2024. So very excited that that
No.
came to fruition. Absolutely. But the other thing I wanted to dive into, we just talked about coming from Mount Horeb. My Notre Dame Academy Tritons played Mount Horeb Barneveld in the playoffs this year. I would be remiss if I didn't mention that Notre Dame took the win in level 3 of the playoffs. But we talked about it a little bit. I do want to talk about that quarterback coming out of Mount Horeb. He goes to Barneveld, but he reminds me a little bit of you, Max. He's with this bigger guy that can play basketball a little bit. What do you know about Casey Helgeson?
I hope he gets his hands on this podcast. But yeah, he's a hell of an athlete. I think he broke a couple of my records this year, so I'm happy for him. Yeah, he's 6'4", 220-pound guy from Barneveld, small town guy. He's got that country in him, he's got a little accent to him. Um, but yeah, he's a hell of an athlete. I know he's just as good in basketball, and he's really good at baseball too. But yeah, he had a hell of a run. I think he was all state this year. So
Hmm.
it sucks that those Notre Dame Tritons took care of them. But
If it helps you, they lost the next round, so it's not. I think everyone thought that Notre Dame Mount Horeb Barneveld was going to be the D3 state championship, so much so that neither team won the state championship in Division Three. So
yeah,
that's always what happens when you have a game like that. But yeah, that was an exciting high school game. I got a chance to see it being down here in the Madison area. Yeah, those were two really good football teams. So I want to dive into that this offseason. But yeah, we talked about opening up camp, opening up this new squad. You're kind of coming in. You're one of the two returners offensively. It's you and Trent Clark with that quarterback center combo. But outside of that, it's a completely new unit offensively. What have you learned with these guys over the first 2 weeks of being in the same vicinity as each other, putting on the pads, playing some football? What have you learned about these guys so far?
Yeah, so I mean, they're all rookies except a few guys. I will say one thing: we are very talented, but it's going to come down to the X's and O's and just getting used to the indoor football game. You know, it's smaller fields, fast pace, high motion, smaller field goals. So just these guys just need to figure out, how to adapt, and then the guys that adapt quickly are going to do well in this league. And Sunday's approaching here soon against Mass, and uh, we're out of camp. We're still in camp, but it's game week, so we are still pushing ourselves hard, and the coaches are putting us in positions to succeed. So we just gotta get there mentally, and we'll see where it takes us. But really excited to have new guys for sure.
You have any names for us of guys who have stood out, guys we need to look for on Sunday?
So we got a few good receivers. I would say all of them are good. We got two running backs that are very good, EJ and Jalen. Defense looks really good. Vi Rivers has
Yeah.
taken a step forward. Having Rafik back on the D line. I mean, we got some big guys, big physical guys that are ready to take care of. Play good. Be ready and be physical against Mass. So I will just say on offense, we got some good receivers, good running backs, and it's great to have Trent back on the O line because he's kind of the commander for our run game, always pointing out Mike and making sure the new guys know what we're doing. So yeah, it's all looking good right now.
Yeah, you mentioned that defense. There are more returners on that defensive side, but all of them had their hands all over um, the successes that the defense had last year. Yeah, you
Mhm.
mentioned Vi Rivers, Sean Steele, and yeah, Rafiq Abdul Wahid manning up that defensive line rotation up front, and then Vi and Sean in the defensive backfield. But yeah, definitely all things so far looking exciting into this season. You open up this season on Sunday against the Massachusetts Pirates. Now, Green Bay played them twice last year. You didn't see time in either of those games, but knowing this matchup and the last three times that Massachusetts has come to Green Bay, all three of them have been decided in clutch time, the last two going to overtime. Where's the mindset with this team right now? Obviously, the last time you guys saw them, it came down to the last play in overtime on a 2-point conversion. What do you see out of this matchup going into Sunday?
Yeah, so we look as Mass. They're year in year out. They're one of the better teams in the league. And when we lose by a touchdown or a 2-point conversion, that just tells us that we're right there too. And it's going to come down to ball security for sure. If I can protect the ball, if our receivers can make big plays, no fumbles, no interceptions. I mean, that's going to be the deciding factor. And if our defense can make a couple stops, it's going to go a long way because you know how this game works. One possession could make or break the game. So, masses, they're always athletic, they're big, and I know they're excited to come to Green Bay and play us, but we're right there too. So it's gonna be a great game, and I know we're at the Resch, so it's always good to be home. So can't wait.
Yeah, this one's a little interesting because it's St. Patty's Day. Green Bay, we're the one that are wearing green, but we're welcoming in a team from Massachusetts that is largely, usually, if you're going to pick a state that represents the Irish people in our great union, it'd probably be Massachusetts. So there's a little bit
Massive.
of a battle on the line. Who's wearing green, but who's from Massachusetts, who's Irish. So I think that's going to be an interesting storyline to follow if you want to look at it that way. But yeah, it's going to be a really exciting matchup against Massachusetts. It's always fun when that squad comes into the rest center. It's always close. And I'm thinking that this one is going to be very similar. Just before we close off here, um, any other parting words before we head into week one and dive into the rest of this season, an early start?
Yeah, I mean, I just want to say like this is a new year. I know last year we went 7-8. We missed the playoffs, but I think one or two games, maybe just one. How the East shook out last year. Coming back and I played enough games where I could learn a lot. And coming back now, I feel like I have a good grasp on how our offenses ran. And we're hungry. I mean, it's time. I just saw today that the IFL coaches poll came out, and I think we're picked 12th or 13th.
13th, yep.
13th. So that it doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. But it should light a fire under all of us to shock these coaches and whoever's writing these polls. So, I mean, I'm excited to get going, and Sunday can't come soon enough.
Hey, 13's my lucky number, so that's a great place to start
Yep.
and go up from there. So, yeah, again, excited about this one. Blizzard opened the season against the Massachusetts Pirates this Sunday at the Resch Center, 3:05 kickoff. I want to thank Max Meylor for hopping on this interview with us today as we head in to week number one. Max, thank you very much for your time.
Hey, thank you so much, Joey. I'll see you Sunday. All right.
That was Max Meylor, quarterback of the Green Bay Blizzard, on Talking Blizz with Joey Bonadonna. Again, he'll lead the team to take on the Massachusetts Pirates this Sunday, March 17th at the Resch Center, kickoff at 3:05 Central. We want to thank you for tuning into this week's episode. We'll see you in the next one. And as always, go Blizz.